Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino here, and we have a terrific guest. We have none other than Matasha from Houston, Texas. How you doing, Matasha?
I am good. Couldn't be, well, I'm great actually. Couldn't be better. Happy to be here
Yeah, there's a difference between good and great, and I'm glad you're doing great.
for sure.
Absolutely, Matasha. Well, I know this has been in the works for a little bit, so it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I know we've been back and forth trying to make this happen. So I'm like, we're finally here and I finally get to do this. So I'm happy to be here.
That's right. That's right. Cool. Well, for those of us who aren't familiar with you, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Matasha LaQuinn. I am a real estate broker and developer here in Houston, Texas. I've been in the real estate industry now for about 17 years. And my previous focus was traditional real estate and a little bit of asset management. And I'm now crossed over to the development side. So that's pretty exciting. Um, Actually, I was raised by my grandmother, who was a real estate broker as well. And I think she's been a broker for about 40 years. And the funny thing is, like, I actually ran away from it for a long time. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I don't care. I'll go fry chicken somewhere before I do real estate. I'm not doing that. And then voila, here I am. So yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, I'm just curious. You grew up in Houston as well?
I did. I grew up in Houston and I graduated from Klein Forest High School back in 2001. So yeah, I am from Houston. I grew up in the Klein area, and I went to Prairie View University uh, in Prairie View, Texas. If you guys are not familiar, it's kind of like going down Highway 290. And Prairie View, let me tell you, is a party school. However, it's a great school. I'm sure great people have great careers that come from Prairie View. That was not my story. Yeah, I literally, when I tell you I partied every day, like every day had a theme, right? They had like Mad Monday, Tacky Tuesday, Wet Wednesday, Throw Thursday. Like every day of the week had a party theme to it. And I was there. But I think I changed my major. I probably changed my major about 4 times. Whatever my friends were doing, and it sounded like really cool and professional. I was like, yeah, let me try that. Computer information systems sound really good. Let me try that. Like I had no idea what it was, but it just sounded good. And I wanted to make my family, I wanted to make my grandmother proud of me. So I just kept changing my major. And I actually I found out I was pregnant after my first year of college. And I came home. So I dropped out. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, I got to do something with my life. And so I came back to Houston and I got a job as a bill collector. And so I worked the job right up until I had my daughter. And once I gave birth to my daughter, I came back to that job after taking the leave of absence. And I think that's when my light bulb went off, because at that point, I'm like, all right, I am responsible for another human being. And I don't have the time right now to try to go back to a 4-year university and obtain a degree and all that stuff. So, what can I do? And it was so funny because the cubicle, the office, my cubicle in my office at the bill collector's office, right? It was like a window cubicle. So I could look out my window and I could see my grandmother's real estate office. It was right across the freeway. And I was there at the window and I was like, I'm not going over there. I am not going over there. And so finally, my light bulb went off. I was like, I need to get my life together. And I called my grandmother on my lunch break and I was like, so you want to tell me more about this real estate stuff? And she's like, yeah, why don't you come on over, whenever you can? So on my lunch break, I made the little U-turn. It didn't even take me 2 minutes to make the U-turn around the freeway to get to her office. And so I made the U-turn. I went there And I looked into real estate classes, and she was like, if you want to do it, I'll pay for it. And so I was like, all right, great. So I make the U-turn to get back to work, and I'm all excited. And I asked my boss, my manager at the time, if he could, revise my work schedule so that I could attend school, real estate school. And I was basically told no. It was just one of those situations where no, not really. If you think you want to do it, you're going to have to maybe come in on Saturdays and Sundays to make up for the time. And of course, with the newborn, that wasn't ideal. That was not an ideal schedule. So I just start picking up all my stuff off my cubicle. And I was like, well, I guess I'll holler at you later. And so they were all looking like, where are you going? You're not feeling well today, or you sick? And I'm like, no, I think I quit. And I'm like, yeah, I quit. And that was that. And so that was like in 2003. And I got my license, and I've been doing this ever since. And that's my real estate entry, my entry into real estate story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting how you were kind of putting one foot in front of the other. Different things were going on. You see your grandmother's office outside the window, and y'all connect.
Yeah. Yeah. And and that just shows the importance of, just having support, and not feeling like you could do all things by yourself, or you don't need anyone else. There's always some type of support system, whether it's a church member, family member, friend, maybe your friend's mom, anybody that's around you that you could consider a support system that would have your back. Definitely take advantage of that, because we all need each other as stepping stones, to our next level, whatever that may be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Help is just a phone call away, a conversation away. You never know, right?
Never know. That is true. And also to take advantage of the support or of the opportunities. Because sometimes, you have people that are offering to help you, or offering to do things, or making themselves available. And for whatever reason, you don't accept the support. So accepting the support is just as important as having the person offering the support. You definitely have to accept it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you brought up an interesting point as well. Is that maybe someone's needing help with something, and someone offers them the helping hand. What do you think? Is it something psychological that people don't want to accept the help, or what's kind of behind that?
You know, that's a good question. I think it's multiple layers, or multiple answers to that question. A part of it maybe can be your upbringing. Maybe you were brought up in a situation where people that have done something for you in the past expect something back in return, or they throw it in your face later, and you just don't want to be put in one of those vulnerable positions to say, "Well, I did this for you, so you owe me this and that," right? So there may be some type of trigger from your past that doesn't allow you to accept the help. Maybe there's an insecurity within yourself. Maybe you're scared to let the person down that's helping you, right? Okay, this person has put their neck out there on the line to help me, and I'm not confident in myself to be able to carry out whatever it is they're expecting of me. So I better leave that alone. I don't want your help because I'm not confident that I can deliver. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's multiple reasons why people don't accept help.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of leans into, some people are afraid of failure, but I would argue that, a lot of people are also afraid of success.
That is absolutely right. It's funny you say that because I read a book a while ago. I don't remember the name of it, but that was definitely a subject. One of the chapters was strictly on being fearful of success, and that is absolutely true. I actually think that I had some of that, and I think somebody's like, "How can you be afraid of success? That's like more money, more opportunities. Like you're accomplishing your goals and stuff." But I think the part that is scary about success is the responsibility, that comes with it, because the word success, it comes with a whole train, of things behind it. Maybe growing your business, hiring people, being responsible for their salaries, um, delivering on your mission, whatever that mission is supposed to be, dedicating more hours in case success calls for you to be more dedicated and spend more time doing the business. So there's a lot of things that can contribute to fear of success. I agree.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because you've kind of been on both ends of the spectrum, right? You've been, in the bill collecting where, you have your task, you're kind of taking care of your own duties, whereas now you have a whole operation to take care of.
Yeah. And I think about that often too. It's almost like a blessing and a curse because, when you're working for someone else or you're on the clock, you do have a very specific role with very specific tasks. You kind of check off your list and you move on to something else. When you are responsible for basically, with entrepreneurship, you're responsible for creating that task list for yourself and for other people. What does it look like? Are the tasks that I'm creating, what is the strategy behind it? Is it going to make sure that the end goal, is accomplished? And because of that, your mind always goes and goes. Like it's really hard to turn it off because you're always thinking of a new way or a different way or a better way or just thinking, period. And so when you're working for someone, it's almost like when 5 o'clock comes and you clock out, that's it. Like I'm not thinking about anything else dealing with this job. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna chill. When you work for yourself, that doesn't really happen that way. So that's why I say it's a blessing and a curse because you're wondering, like, when does it stop? You know, let me cut this off. And one of my friends, it's so funny, they always joke with me. Since my mind is always going, they call it 13 hamsters. They're like, I can tell you got like 13 hamsters in there, like running around. So on some days, they're like, okay, how many hamsters do you have going on today? So that's kind of like a joke with me and my friends about the hamsters going. But yeah, it definitely is a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. It's funny you mentioned the hamsters because it's kind of, was it more of a mindset shift for you? I'm just curious, what was it like to, you know, being, in charge of only your own duties to kind of being in charge of the team?
Um, you know, that's a so this is interesting because I actually at one point in my career I thought I was ready for a team. So I end up getting agents and things like that under me. And then I decided I don't want this responsibility. Like it's much easier for me to just do my own thing, be responsible for myself. And so for a while, it was just me, still practicing my traditional real estate, and just closing my own deals, not being responsible for anything and anybody else. And I think that was it was the lazy way out because again, there was no accountability. I don't have to answer to any I don't have to show up and make myself available. And I just kind of do my own thing, whatever that looks like. And then again, it was comfort. It was, there are certain processes and things that have to be put into place to streamline, when you have a team and how things are going to flow. I didn't feel like doing that. I was like, I don't want to do this. Like it's much easier when it's yourself. You just wake up and however it flows, it flows. So what ends up happening, I guess you could say it was a mindset shift. It's just one of those things how you hear people say that timing is everything. You can't force anybody into being ready. It's just like their own light bulb has to go off. They have to want it for themselves for whatever reason, whatever that spark is, whatever the reason is for them wanting it, they have to want it. And I think that's what happened for me one day. I just kind of woke up and was like, all right, I think I'm ready now. I know that I have more to give. I know that I have the capabilities of being a good leader. I know that I have a lot that I could teach other people. There was just a lot within myself that I was ready to give. And so that came in. And then I realized on the question of if it was a mindset shift, I think it was because once once my mindset shifted to say, okay, Tasha, being responsible for other people pushes you to be better because now I can't wake up in the morning and be mediocre or do just enough. The things that I do, I keep the whole team in mind because it's like, dang, this move is going to affect two people. This decision is going to affect more than just me. Or what am I going to put in place to make sure that the team is thriving or headed in the right direction? So the mindset shift for me happened when I realized that having a team it wasn't helping them. It was actually helping me become better by having a team because it forced me to be better and do better and to go harder, basically. So yeah, it was a mindset shift, I would say.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how kind of taking on that newfound responsibility, really did that for you.
Yeah, it did. And that's it just also goes back to when I say timing, like just because you put something down or you change your mind about something, it doesn't mean that you can't pick it up later. I think there was like maybe a 5-year window between me putting the idea of having a team down, like I'm not ready for that right now, and then revisiting it later. It was a whole 5 years, before I was ready. And so at the time, when you can look at it as a failure. I don't know if I would really call it a failure, but you can look at it as a failure. Whenever you start something and have to put it down, it can be considered a failure. But it doesn't have to be looked at as a failure. It's like you wasn't ready. It wasn't the timing for you to necessarily do that certain thing, and you can always pick it up later.
Mm.
So, you just pick it up later. And I think what happens is when you pick it up the second time or the third time, maybe some people are picking up something for the fifth time.
Yeah.
At one point, you go extra hard because you're trying to make up for the lost time. Like you're trying to accelerate. Like you look at like, dang, if I would have did this 5 years ago, I would have been further along. So you just find yourself trying to go extra hard to catch up and to make up for the lost time. But one thing you have to know is that I guess whatever is for you in this lifetime is gonna be for you. So there's no such thing as accelerating or missing out on something. You know, God, the universe, whatever it is you believe in, I believe in God, but it has a way of putting you exactly where you need to be, how you need to be, with the people you need to be there with. So nothing is a coincidence, nothing is an accident. So if you put down something 5 years ago and you pick it up 5 years later, don't worry about what you missed out on. It's gonna happen for you how it needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even that what you just said to me is kind of a mindset shift, right? Between, looking at something as a failure versus looking at it as, hey, this is a learning experience that I can still pick up.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And it takes I guess that's, kind of the word tenacity. It takes tenacity, it takes perseverance. Um, but I think the most important thing, it takes you believing in yourself because especially people around you, whether it's family members or friends, if they've watched you struggle with something for a while or start something and not finish and put it down and pick it back up, and you got kind of have this seesaw thing going on. When you go to pick it up that fifth time, you might not have the full support that you had from them in the beginning because it's like, here they go with this again. Like, so you have to believe in yourself enough to know this time is different. I'm better this time. You know what I'm saying? Or forget what you're talking about. Like, I know I'm really ready. Like, this is different for me. So you have to believe in yourself enough to know, even when the people around you or the people that you want the response from or the support from, if they're not there 100% or even 60%, pushing through anyway and believing in yourself enough.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely huge. And I'm just interested as well. You mentioned a few times talking about, traditional real estate, versus what, what are kind of the different sides of real estate that you're looking at?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Well, first of all, just real estate in general, the way I've always explained it and the way I explain it to my agents is that um, I think well, no, I'm not gonna say I even think. I know what kept me in real estate so long is the fact that it's so diverse and there's so many different avenues that you can take in real estate. Because the way I get bored easily, Excuse me, and my mind is always going on something else. What can I do? And so real estate is just one of those careers where, you know, for example, if you get your cosmetology license or you want to do hair, that's just what you're going to be doing. You're going to do hair. If you, I don't know what else. If you are a CDL driver, you're going to drive trucks. You're going to drive a bus like that. That's what you're stuck in. With real estate, you can get into real estate and end up as a property manager, a real estate agent, a real estate broker, an investment manager, a developer, a builder, a new home sales. So there's just so many things. It's almost like driving down the freeway and depending on what exit you take, it's going to get you to a different destination. Maybe if I want to go downtown, I'm going to hop on 45 north. If I want to head to Dallas, I'm going to hop on 45 south. So it's just like taking different exits to get to different destinations. And so that's what real estate provides. It just provides the diversity and the ability to switch gears and to still remain in the same career, but to hop in and out and gain different experiences. And so my personal real estate journey, what that looked like for me was traditional. So when I say traditional real estate, for those that don't know, I'm talking, um, you know, the normal stuff, the helping clients to buy or sell, homes, the property, land, office space. I didn't necessarily do office space too much. My main focus was residential. So helping buyers and sellers to sell and buy property. My specialty at the time was first time home buyers. I always had a soft spot in my heart for like helping families that didn't necessarily think that this was something that they'd be able to accomplish. A lot of my families at the time may have needed home down payment assistance. So a lot of my loan officers and my partners were just like me. We were like dedicated to the community work. What are down payment assistance programs we can attach families to, that maybe they have the credit score to buy a home, but they don't have $10,000 to put down. So what grant can we attach them to help them with the down payment, to help them accomplish something? And so from there, my grandmother was and has been a HUD broker. She was actually, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she was the first broker in Texas to receive the certification to list foreclosure properties, also known as REO properties, bank owned properties. And so she had major contracts with like HUD, Fannie Mae, Bank of America. So a lot of the government entities and the financial institutions, she managed those REO contracts. And so what ended up happening, since of course my license was with her office, I ended up crossing over into the REO world a little bit. So I understood managing an REO contract and what those processes look like, because a portfolio of foreclosure properties for a bank was a completely different thing than helping traditional buyers buy real estate. And so when I crossed over into the Fannie Mae properties and the HUD properties, that introduced me into the REO world, or what they call the REO management world. And so that led me into becoming an asset manager. So I ended up using the experience from that REO stuff. I ended up working for a few loan servicers as an REO asset manager. And basically, what that role involved is the easiest way I can explain it is when, let's say, Bank of America or Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, just different entities that offer mortgage products. Of course, when someone gets foreclosed on, that's considered a non-performing asset, right? So that the loan is no longer performing. And so the foreclosure, the property goes back to the bank as a foreclosure. Well, the banks are not in the business of managing property. So they would hire a loan servicer. They would hire a team of asset managers, such as myself, to service that property until we're able to get it back on the market, to resell it, to get their investment, to get their return back, basically. So the way that process would look, and when you're an asset manager and you're taking on these portfolio of properties, you can get properties all over. So my portfolio, excuse me, some of my properties were in New Jersey, Texas, California, Chicago. They're all over the place. And so basically what we're doing, the way that I'll just give you an example of what one looks like. So one property comes back to the bank, they assign it to me. I have to see, is the property occupied? So the family that got foreclosed on, are they still living there? Or have they already abandoned or vacated the property? If they're still there, we have to initiate an entire eviction process. And by me, I was always based in Texas. So let's say if it was a Chicago property or a New Jersey property, I would have to actually assign local real estate agents in those areas to be my boots on the ground, to basically oversee that property for me, to report back what's going on there, basically. So they would tell me if it's occupied or vacant. If it was vacant, then I would start the process of doing whatever it took to get that property back on the market so we could resell it. So I would have that local agent to do evaluation. I would send another appraiser out there just so we can have multiple ideas of what the value should be. We would get opinions on whether or not we should sell it as is or should we repair it. If we repair it, is it going to give more of a return on investment to the bank by having it repaired? Will it allow us to sell it for more, basically? Then once we decide on the strategy, whether it's as is or repaired, we go ahead and I have that agent listed for us locally. When the offers come in, I'm the one to review the offers and to tell the local agent which ones we'll accept. So basically, I was almost like power of attorney for the bank. They would give me a outline of, okay, Tasha, this is how much money you can spend on repairs. As long as it gives us this certain return, do it. This is your threshold for the offers you can accept. You can sign on our behalf as long as it's within this threshold. And so, long story short, my job was to preserve the property. Maybe it was on the market for 2 months, and during that time, we had a hurricane coming, so the windows needed to be boarded up to make sure the property was kept until we were able to resell it. And so, at any given time, my portfolio I had about 300 properties, just that were all over in different stages of the foreclosure process, at any given time for different banks. And so essentially that is what asset manager role consisted of. And so that is what got me going and got me interested in investment management or just asset management as a whole. So I started to say, oh, wait a minute. If I'm helping banks or the larger investors to get return on investments and manage their portfolio properties, how great would it be if I could do that for individuals? Individual people, help them to build their wealth and their investments and invest in property. And so my interest kind of shifted and I became interested in individual wealth versus managing like wealth for corporate entities. And so that is kind of what led me into our investment club and developing properties and all that. And I think that's also what got me interested in getting the whole team back and becoming a broker again, because I knew I would not be able to cross over into investment and asset management without leaving my traditional real estate behind. And I didn't want to leave that behind because I had learned so much. I had come so far. I still enjoyed helping families and stuff. I didn't want to leave that. So I'm like, okay, the only way that I'll be able to still keep that in some capacity is to get a team of agents and to educate them and train them on what I know so that they can do the traditional stuff. They can still help families. We can still service that part. And then I'm able to move on and do something else, which was the investment side of it. And that's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you drew a great comparison, kind of talking about cosmetology, you're doing hair, the CDL, you're driving a truck, whereas with real estate, you got into it and it took you in a few different directions and here you are.
Yeah. That is, yeah. And that is one of the top things that I enjoy about real estate. Is just the diversity and the ability to, touch different parts of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's neat though, because although you kind of transition between different facets of the real estate industry, it kind of seems like the asset management aspect, it was kind of sharpening you up, right? It was helping you to kind of see the bigger picture.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I think that's another cool thing about life is that, your journey is your journey and every part of it means something. Every part of it is leading you somewhere else and it's leading you to a greater place. So as long as you kind of just thrive in your moment, whatever your moment is, and just use it as an opportunity to soak it up, to learn from it, and just to know it's playing a part for some reason. Like, I don't know what part it's supposed to play, but maybe in 2 years I'll know, what part that this was playing or what I was to learn from that. So it definitely sharpened me up and led me to where I am. So that goes back earlier. You made a statement about putting the one foot in front of the other, and sometimes we don't know where we're going next or why we're being led in a different direction, but just do it,
Yeah.
and figure it out along the way. Like, take the step, deal with whatever comes. Take another step, just keep taking steps. And it was something, I think it was Steve Harvey. I was watching something and Steve Harvey was talking about, he's a comedian talking about, I forgot exactly how it started off, but he was basically saying how in entrepreneurship or just goals or just life in general, a lot of times you don't know what it looks like around the corner. And he was talking about how he actually just jumped, like he's talking about jumping off a cliff, right? He just jumps and grows his wings on the way down. And I do that all the time. Like, I used to not do it, but now if I even think it's something I want to try, like, I'm jumping. And I'll figure out like how to pull my parachute, where to get my wings from. Like, I'll deal with that while I'm falling because I'm
Yeah.
gonna just jump real quick and see what and see what happens. And it's been working. Not to say that it works all the time, but I think I would rather jump and something not work than to have never jumped and you're sitting with regret in 12 years thinking, man, I wonder what would have happened if I would have tried something, or I could have been the biggest basketball player. And it's like, you never even worked out. You never even trained. Like,
Yeah.
you never even tried it. So I always say go for it. I would rather you go for it than to regret, not trying at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. Just just getting in there and doing it. But what you're saying is it's kind of scary for people too, right? Kind of taking that leap.
It is. It is. And I think once you get past, and I know I keep referencing all these different books and statements that I've heard before. And but there are a lot of things that you can learn from just like reading and listening to different podcasts and to different people. And of course, as usual, I don't know the author of what I'm about to say. But I read something one time that was like, your success is on the other side of whatever you're fearful of. And that's true. It's like if you could just get past the fear, like whatever you're going after is on the other side of the door. And I know it's easier said than done, but I think what helped me with that was I had two options. When you're dealing with fear, you have two options. You have, okay, I'm not going to do this at all because I'm fearful, or I'm not going to do this at all and I'll never reach my full potential, and I'll live with that anxiety or that thought process of what could have been. And for me, I was more fearful of what would happen if I didn't try versus trying and it didn't work, or I'm scared of trying. I was more afraid of what was going to happen if I didn't do it, because like, you look at people around you, and the worst thing in the world is to see everybody else around you accomplishing their goals and making moves and doing stuff, and like, you're not. It that sucks. Why would you put yourself through that? And not only that, like, the person next to you, they're no smarter than you. they're not, I look at it like, a you're a regular person, I'm a regular person. If you can do it, I sure as hell could do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the only difference is that you execute it. The only difference is that you believed in yourself, you did it, you put in the work, you tried again and you try. Like, that's the only difference. The only difference between you and somebody else is like the action piece. They had an idea, you have an idea. The only difference is they kept trying at it and kept working at it until it worked and they believed in themselves enough to try. So that's kind of what I started looking at. I started to look at people that were like doing the things that I wanted to do. And it was just like, no, like I started to get to a point where I was pissed off. Like,
Yeah,
no, how are you doing that? Like, I
yeah,
have more experience. I'm more, I feel like I'm more intelligent. Like I have more to contribute. My idea was better than that.
yeah,
Like I would have these things and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get passed up anymore, you know. And not only that, I'm not going to compare myself to their journey either. Because sometimes you look at somebody and it's like, dang, but if I start now, I'm so further behind, or
yeah,
they're already here and I'm only there. Don't worry about that. If you're focused on your own race and you're not like looking from side to side trying to see who's passing you up and comparing, this is the worst. Like social media, Instagram, Facebook, everybody's like posting their moves that they're making. Listen, stay off. If you're on Facebook, fine, but stay off of other people's pages comparing yourself to what they have going on.
yeah,
Because you know they're not posting the bad times or the struggles or the down days or the failures. They're not posting that stuff.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And then 9 times out of 10, they may be fronting anyway. So you need to focus on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is you want to do, you focus that energy into doing what you need to do to accomplish what you're trying to do. Not comparing yourself to somebody else, not comparing time frames, none of that.
yeah,
Just that has to stop. Once I stop doing that, that that is when everything, and I'm not where I want to be. You know, things are not perfect. I'm not gonna say that, but I'm on the path. You know what I'm saying, to get there. And that's what happened is when you find a way to kick fear down and when you find a way to stop comparing yourself to other people, that
yeah.
that is going to help.
That's huge. That's huge. And I mean that sort of mindset's gotten you to where you are now. So could you kind of explain a bit about what specifically you're doing now? Are you in particular parts of Houston, servicing parts of Houston, or what sort of projects are you doing?
Okay, good question. So the LaQuinn Group is our real estate brokerage. But outside of that, you heard me talk earlier a little bit about an investment club. So our investment club is called Society 23. And basically, Society 23 is our investment club where we allow past clients and members of the community to partner with us to invest in real estate development projects. And so, for those that don't know, real estate development is basically where you buy vacant land and you decide the best use for that land. Like, what would be the best use of this land? What's going to make us the most money? Um, and you decide what you want to build there. You build it, you resell it, whatever you're going to do. You're basically developing vacant land. What we are focused on right now is the development of multifamily properties. And if we do build single family homes, we are focused on affordable housing, housing that's priced under 180,000 on the single family side. The reason why we went with the multifamily duplexes and the affordable single family housing is because um, my experience on the traditional side helped me to realize where the need was, where there was a need. And so there's a shortage of inventory for, first of all, investors that want to buy duplexes to buy and hold, to put renters in there. There's a shortage of quality ones and affordable ones. And most of them that are on the market are older, um, or they're, 290,000 and up, or they're built one at a time. So there's a lot of competition for that one. So it's like, okay, there's a shortage of inventory for new construction in the multifamily space, but there's also a shortage of inventory from home buyers that maybe they can't afford a $200,000 house. Maybe they can't afford $250,000 house. So that's the family that's looking right in between the 160 to 180 price point. Usually they're on down payment assistance. They don't have a lot of purchasing power as far as an approval amount. And so they're left with not a whole lot of choices. Inventory there now, if there are choices available in that price point, they're not quality. They're maybe older homes, need a lot of work, maintenance, abandoned, bad areas, things like that. And so our goal is to not only invest in properties, but invest in properties that provide quality, affordable housing opportunities and quality investing opportunities. And so most of our projects now are in what they call opportunity zones of Houston. So areas that are considered to be maybe a lower income area, such as Sunnyside, Acres Home Community, different zip codes like that. Because by investing in those areas, we're able to do multiple things at one time. We're able to make money as investors, of course, for the investment group. That's one thing. But the second thing, we're able to redevelop or revitalize, an underserved community. We're able to create homeowners for families that may not otherwise have been able to become a homeowner or afford a quality home. Um, for example, one of the ones that we're closing on next month, this particular duplex, it's being bought by a veteran. He's using his VA loan to purchase a duplex, but he's also a first-time home buyer. And so he's going to live in one side and he's going to rent out his second side to a family that needs a rental home. You know what I mean? So if we look at that project, and this project is located in Sunnyside, so if we look at this project all the way around, it's a win-win for everyone. Our investors win, the community wins because we're helping to revitalize the area. Our home buyer, our client is becoming a home buyer and an investor at the same time. And then a family that is maybe on a housing voucher is able to have a nice quality rental unit to live in. So, there's just like, that's kind of the projects that we like to get involved in whenever I'm like researching what the next opportunity is going to look like, or what the next investment is going to be. That is, I guess, basically my bullet points. That is the mission that I'm going for. Not only is it going to be a good opportunity for our investment group, but what is it going to do for the community? What is it going to do to solve the problem, that we're facing? And so that's what our investors like. They like to know that the projects that we are involved in do more than just help us to win. It's to help everybody to win. So that's what we're excited about. Currently, we have 38 investors, and we're all minorities, which is exciting. Not to say our investment club is welcome and open to anybody and everybody, but I think the unique thing about it right now is the fact that we are all minorities, and you know, minorities have had a difficult time purchasing their own homes just to live in, let alone becoming an investor in something. And so I think it's really unique to get everyone on one accord to believe in something and to believe in the same vision and carry it out. And I think that, and a lot of people will ask me, well, what does Society 23 mean? Like, where did you even come up with that name? And so society, of course, the word society is like, it represents a group of people, organization, a group of people that are going towards a common goal or a common purpose. And in this case, it just happens to be real estate investing, building wealth through real estate while transforming communities at the same time. And the number 23 is a representation of the scripture, Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and so it just talks about God's ability to provide for you and to give you peace and to lead you along the path that you're supposed to go on. And so when I started it and I had those fears about, is this going to work? Are they going to believe in what I'm doing? Is this making sense? That scripture kept me grounded to know that I have a bigger purpose. It's not just about me. God's going to see me through. And I got the group of people, we're all believing in the same thing. And so I pieced it together, and that's where Society 23 um, came from. And so, yeah, so that's what we're doing currently. We currently, let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 under construction right now. And then we actually just went under contract yesterday for 2.1 acres. And the goal there is to build even more affordable housing there. Our other projects have been in Sunnyside. This particular land that we contracted on yesterday is in the 77088 zip code, which is the Acres Home community. So this is our first project of us crossing over to the other side of town, because Sunnyside is on the south and Acres Home is on the north. Similar communities, same type of demographic and things like that, but it's just a different side of Houston. So that's what we have coming up next.
Yeah, absolutely. It's neat that you're able to not only help yourself and your team, but also providing a good service to the community that kind of benefits the area and the people that live there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think one of the most exciting parts about the investment group is that everyone needs a stepping stone and opportunity to get into investing. And there's always an obstacle in the way when you're trying to do it on your own. Maybe you don't have the credit to qualify for maybe a hard money loan or construction financing or whatever. Or maybe you don't have the down payment or the upfront money that you need to get into something. And so partnering the group together, you're able to leverage each other. And there's a lower risk there with partnership. So for example, I don't know, let's say one person has $1,000, but another person may have access to 5,000. We're able to piece it all and package it all together where they're all a part of the project. So on the returns, everyone's going to get a piece of the pie. Your piece may be bigger or smaller than theirs, but you still get a piece, you know? And so you can use that piece of the pie to learn and to grow and to eventually get yourself into a position where you can branch out and maybe do your own investment. So yeah, that's the goal, is just to help everyone help learn how to build wealth, invest in real estate, to get educated on the process and what it means to become an investor, and just to help each other grow, I guess you could.
Yeah. No, I'm curious. So you use the word educate. So maybe someone's stepping into the industry for the first time, but they know they're interested in real estate. What would you tell them to kind of get them up to speed with that education you're talking about?
I would say, so if it's an agent that's looking to get into the business or that's newly licensed and they're coming into real estate from that side of it, I would definitely say, um, hooking up with the right broker, of course, because your broker is going to technically be your mentor. Even though as an agent, one of the biggest misconceptions is that you are your own boss, which you are. You're an independent contractor. You don't technically have a boss, but who you're signed on with is important, because when you have questions, when you want to learn how to set your goals, when you want to learn how to build the foundation of what your business is going to look like, and how to be successful in it, you're going to need somebody you can reach out and touch. And so a lot of the newer agents, or just agents in general, they usually go to some of the bigger offices, which there's nothing wrong with that. The Remax, the Keller Williams, those are all great agencies. But sometimes I'll just say the one-on-one, or the one-on-one closeness or the support sometimes isn't there the same way it is with the smaller agency, maybe because the agent of rosters, I mean, the roster of agents isn't as large, or you can reach out and actually get your broker on the phone, to get help. So I think the main thing for that is, A, hooking up with the right broker, and B, not getting into it as just a hobby, but looking at it as an actual business. Like, this is your business and you're gonna have to run it that way. This is not something you could just do on the fly and think that you're going to thrive in it and do all the things you want to do. You got to take it seriously. Um, as far as the investor side, I would say hooking up with the right people again, because there's so many people that are doing it. There's always classes and ads on Facebook. Join my class, learn how to buy a home with no money. And it's like, who do I trust? Who who's scamming me and who's not. So just be careful. Make sure you're linking up with people that are credible, that you can trust. Trust your instincts on them. Um, Go to education classes if they're being offered. Just really educate yourself first, and link yourself up with the people that you think can really help you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Matasha, we've talked about a bit about, how you got into the industry, a bit about you, what you're doing now. What's Matasha looking forward to in the future? What are you looking to build on?
I'm just looking to quadruple what's already going on. I'm looking to do more for the community. I want to build more housing, bigger housing, community centers that offer free education classes, like we just talked about, whether it's for community members, home buyer classes, maybe single parents that want to purchase homes and there are no grant funds available, being able to provide grant funds. Just anything related to growth and helping the community and providing more housing opportunities. I'm here for it. I definitely see right now we're focused on building and flipping. So we don't hold a lot. In the future, I would say within the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to add more of the hold, um, I guess, strategy where we can start building the portfolio and stacking up on the residual monthly income. So definitely we'll probably cross over from just the single family, the multifamily, duplex space. I see us crossing in over into, the 50 units, 200 unit, the complexes, where we're able to really provide affordable quality rental housing on a larger scale as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, yeah, I like to hear that. That's a great goal. Well, Matasha, is there anything that you haven't said thus far that you'd really just like to hit home?
No, I mean, I feel like I've been talking forever, so hopefully I'm not boring.
No, no, not boring. You,
um, I don't. I guess if I would close it out, I would just say whatever it is that's been pulling at anybody's heart, mind, thoughts, desires, visions, something that you've been wanting to do. And it doesn't have to be real estate related. It could be you've always wanted to own a daycare. I don't know. You always wanted to be a fashion designer and design clothes. You're good at sewing. Whatever it is, like go to the closet and pull out your sewing machine and start sewing. Like whatever it is, hit
yeah.
the green light and go. That's what I say.
Hit the
That's
ground
my
running. I like that. I like that a lot. Well, Matasha, where are you on social media? How can we get a hold of you?
I am on social media. If you're on Facebook, you can find me under Matasha LaQuinn. So you can find me there. If you're on Instagram, you can also type in Matasha LaQuinn. My username is Queen Bee of Real Estate. And it's Queen, but it's spelled with a W. So QWEEN. So Queen Bee of Real Estate. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. So all those platforms, you'll be able to find me in order to stay in touch. If you want more information about the brokerage, you can go to www.laquinnegroup.com. And that's it.
All right, sounds good. Well, Matasha, it's been a pleasure having you on. Talking about your beginning in real estate, what you're doing right now, and what you want to do in the future. We talked about mindset, and you've been a great guest. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for the invite, and let me know however if I can assist in the future any kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely, Matasha. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.